problems along the way, and we certainly hope that our next speaker will be around for a really long time, because we need him. Jeff Kuhner is a columnist for the Washington Times, where his work is read by millions. He is the president of the Edmund Burke Institute, a Washington-based conservative think tank. Before getting into journalism, Jeff was a professor of U.S. history at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. Jeff and his family now live in the Boston area. Known as Boston's Bulldozer, he is the daily host of the Kuhner Report on 680 AM, WRKO, where he just celebrated his one-year anniversary. Please welcome Jeff Kuhner.
It's great to be with you. Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Okay. Great to be with you. First of all, I really want to thank Christine for inviting me. I say this to her all the time. She's my hero. I even asked her, I said, Christine, do you work for a living? I see you everywhere. You're organizing everything. She goes, well, yeah, no, I'm a psychiatric nurse. I'm like, where do you find it? She goes, well, I work evenings. So, I mean, she's absolutely phenomenal. Also, by the way, we're going to have Tom Duggan on my show on Monday, 7:15. Trust me, we're going to make some big news. This guy is sitting on a bombshell of a story. We're going to make national news. So we got that coming. Oh my God. I see the "Don't Tread on Me" sign. Oh my God. I mean, now the dear leader, President Obama, has now given the order that our military members, you can't have that as a patch. That's considered a radical sign. Oh my God. What's next? The Nazi swastika? Oh my God. I mean, this is the kind of regime that we are now facing, my friends. And I've got to tell you this. I'm seeing it through my callers. I'm seeing it through my listeners, and I'm definitely seeing it through my sources in Washington. As many of you know, I also, besides doing a daily show in Boston, I still write a regular column for the Washington Times. I talk to a lot of people in the newsroom. I got very good contacts up on Capitol Hill. Let me tell all of you this, and you take this baby to the bank. The Democrats are now in full panic. Good. I said it on my show, and I'll say it again. The fatal mistake that the Democrats made was implementing and enacting Obamacare. It is now crumbling around them. The president has lied. He lied to the American people for over 3.5 years. Right. He knew you couldn't keep your doctor. He knew you couldn't keep your health care plan. He knew perfectly well that this was going to decimate the private insurance market and that up to 92 million Americans are either going to have to change or lose their health insurance. This is going to be, I believe, the greatest fiasco in modern American history. And the Democrats are now sensing a massive backlash, a massive tidal wave. Good. And so now they don't know what to do because it's got Obama's name on it. He pushed it. He supported it. He rammed it through Congress, and now he owns it. And so the beginning of the end, I believe, and this is what people even in Democratic circles are telling me, is when Bubba, came out and gave an interview where he does his little, oh, I love Obamacare, I think it's a very good thing, it was passed, it was wonderful, good for the country, but you know, the president's got to honor his commitment. He's got to honor his commitment. He said if you keep your plan, you've got to keep your plan. What he did by doing that was he effectively, this is the White House's term, not mine, stabbed us in the back. He basically knifed Obama in the back. Why? Because he knows perfectly well, if the president keeps his promise that somehow you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan, it's going to effectively gut Obamacare. Because the entire premise, the Ponzi scheme, the entire premise of Obamacare is to get young people, to get healthy people, to get people who buy insurance to give up their plan and either pay much higher premiums on a new plan or force them into the Obamacare exchanges. Right. If they keep their plan, it's financially unsustainable. The whole thing comes crashing down. So when Bubba did that to him, he basically gave a signal to the Democrats, you can now run for the exits. And what he also said very clearly is, And my wife, when she runs in 2016, is going to run against Obamacare. We're already distancing ourselves from it. Yep. So now you have the united front of the Democrats literally cracking. And you're now witnessing something I have never seen in modern American political history. Clinton was damaged by the Monica Lewinsky scandal. That's a personal political scandal. Right. Nixon was brought down by Watergate. What we're now seeing is the implosion of a presidency based on his signature law. His signature achievement is collapsing and is bringing him and the entire liberal regime down with it. Good. And they are in a panic. Even journalists, mainstream journalists, who have been supporting this guy and in the tank for this guy for 5 years, are saying, Jeff, I mean, they're on the phone. They're like, I've never seen him like this. We're going to get a cardiac arrest. They're like, no, you don't understand. We're looking at these poll numbers. This is a meltdown. This is the Titanic. And not only is Obama going to go down, this is going to bring Hillary down, in their words, not mine. It's going to bring liberalism underground. In other words, it's going to bury liberalism. Collapse it. Exactly. It's going to collapse it. This is liberalism's Vietnam. This is liberalism's domestic Vietnam. It's going to bleed it. It's going to hemorrhage it, it's going to discredit it, and eventually it's going to destroy the entire establishment. Now, this is, I believe, where we come in. Because what has been one of the seminal pillars of the Tea Party movement? What have we been warning Americans? In fact, what almost gave birth to us? It wasn't just the skyrocketing deficits, which are going to bankrupt this country. It was this blatant attempt to impose socialized medicine upon the American people and essentially create a European social democracy. To, as Obama put it himself, 5 days before the election, to, quote, fundamentally transform America. This was the centerpiece of his transformation. Right. This now having overreached, having overextended, with his presidency now collapsing, I believe that 2014 is going to be the year of the Tea Party. Yay! This is the year that we're going to come back. And I can tell you this, it's not just Democrats that are worried. It's establishment Republicans who are worried. The rhinos. Because now they see, when Ted Cruz stood up in the Senate.
Yes, rhinos.
When they,
I need some rooms to check.
when Ted Cruz stood up in the Senate and gave a 20-hour speech on all of the evils and flaws in Obamacare, and you had the likes of John McCain, and you had the likes of John Boehner, and you had the likes of Kelly Ayotte, and you had the likes of all of these establishment Republicans basically wetting themselves in full panic. Oh my God, the American people never forgive us. Oh my God, we'll have a government shutdown. We can't have a government shutdown. Oh my God, all these federal bureaucrats actually doing something, actually staying at home, being more productive than they are in the workplace. Oh my God, we can't have that. So, what happened? Nothing. In fact, Ted Cruz was vindicated. Right. This is Obama. Look, let me tell you what Democratic strategists are telling me. Okay, this is not just Jeff Kuhner on the air. Obama is now in a fundamental conundrum. Here is his conundrum. You have to understand, this is almost Shakespearean. I almost laugh because this is such a debacle and such a fiasco. Now you have to think about it. You're the dear leader. You are the Messiah. You are the anointed one. You are the one that for 5 years, literally, relentless propaganda, smartest guy in the room, the most brilliant president we've ever had, historic presidency. This is the high watermark of liberalism. He can do no wrong. As he put it, he's going to literally prevent the sea levels from rising and give us peace on earth. Okay, that's what he's going to do. And now, he's wrapped his entire prestige, his aura, his authority around Obamacare. He's got two choices now. It's collapsing. It's like the ground is collapsing from underneath him. Here, today, another story. You can go like, this is like almost like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, remember to keep your doctor? Well, no. United Health Group, thousands of doctors have now been told for elderly people, Medicare Advantage, you can no longer take care of elderly patients. So now you have countless seniors who have just lost their doctor. It just goes on and on and on. And by the way, I kid you not, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the iceberg. We've just been talking about the individual health insurance market. That's 5%, that's a lot. It's 5% of the population. Come January 1st, this is what I've been telling my listeners. You read the law, then you're going to change employer coverage. I don't know about you, I get my health care through my boss. Most Americans get their health care through their boss or through their employer. Now you're going to see tens and tens and tens. In fact, according to many healthcare experts, over 100 million Americans are going to get cancellation notices. You either got to get on the Obamacare exchanges, or you're going to be paying $3, $4, $5, $6, $700 more a month in higher premiums. These aren't just conservatives. These aren't just libertarians. It's going to be Democrats. It's going to be independents. It's going to be liberals. So this thing is going to wipe out the Democratic Party. All hell is going to break loose in January. Good. This is just the beginning. So now you're Obama. What do you do? Really think about it. What do you do? Now you have two options. There's only two. Either you grind it out and you push on, which I believe he will, the fanatic, the socialist fanatic that he is, or you turn around and say, no mas. As Roberto Duran said, that famous fight against sugar ray letter. No more. I throw in the towel. But what does that mean? If he pulls the plug on his own health care law, what does that mean? It means the Tea Party was right. It means, think about it, Ted Cruz was right. Right. The so-called terrorist, the so-called anarchist, the so-called right-wing extremist, the so-called hostage taker was right. Either way, his political credibility is finished. So the question then is this: what do we do? We have been in the wilderness. We have been warning the American people. We have been the patriotic backbone, the resistance against this regime. My friends, here's what I think we need to do. It is now time, I believe, for freedom-loving Americans in this country to take back our movement, to take back the Republican Party, and to take back this country. And what you're now seeing, and this is where I mentioned the rhinos. Lindsey Graham is going to get primary. Kelly Ayotte is going to get primary. I mean, I could go all around the country. What you're going to see happen next year is the Republicans thought they could devour the Tea Party. What they're going to realize, to their amazement, is the Tea Party is going to devour them. Yeah. This is where all of you come in. This is where we get now to civic activism. I can just tell you this. All of my years in Washington, D.C., all of my years of covering politics, as a professor of history, as a student of history, there is no more powerful weapon in politics and, frankly, in life than the truth. That's just a fact. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. When the dissidents in the former Soviet Union said, this is an evil empire, this is a murderous regime, they killed them, they imprisoned them, they tortured them, but that idea couldn't be beaten because it was the truth, and eventually it won out. When we had slavery in this country, and people said, no, you can't hold other people in bondage, it's immoral, it's wrong, it's fundamentally anti-human. It took time, but the truth won out. Now, what do we stand for? What fundamentally does the Tea Party stand for? We believe that this is the greatest country in the history of the world.
Right, it is.
And this is not an opinion. It's a fact. And I'll prove it to you, all of you. Every single one of you. Actually, I am directly an immigrant. I immigrated from Canada. Every single one of you. How many generations you've been in America? Somebody came off the boat somewhere. Somebody. Our very existence is a repudiation of almost every other country in the world because people came from all over the world here. They came from Ireland, they came from Italy, they came from Poland, they came from China, they came from Japan, you name it, they came here. And the basis of this republic is our Constitution. This is what our founding fathers bequeathed to us, the greatest document of political liberty and human freedom ever invented. Ever. These were men who studied thousands of years of history, who looked at they studied ancient Rome, they studied ancient Greece, they studied the Italian city-states, they studied European kingdom after European kingdom, they studied the Chinese, they studied the Japanese, and they turned around and said, the key to maintaining human freedom and political liberty is to have a limited government with clearly delineated powers,
Right.
whereby you entrench individual rights in a Bill of Rights.
Right.
And this man in the White House is now waging an unprecedented assault upon the Constitution and upon this country's economic and political freedoms. What we stand for is nothing more and nothing less than the restoration of our founding principles. And in a nutshell, it is simply this. A government needs to balance its books.
Right.
I don't live beyond my means. Most of you, I'm sure, don't live beyond your means. What you take in is what you give out.
Right.
Not a penny more. How is this radical? How is this extremist? This is just common sense. Number two, we believe that people should have the right to decide for their own health care and their own health care choices. We don't believe the federal government should control what doctor we see, what prescriptions we get, what health care plan we get. It's not the government's business.
Right.
And thirdly, and most importantly, we believe in individual freedom. We believe in the free enterprise system. We believe in the rule of law. In other words, we believe in everything that made this country exceptional and great. Now, my friends, this is not just a winning agenda, to put it in Washington speak. These are the ideals that animated and drove this country for centuries. These are the ideals that made us the greatest country in the history of the world. These are the ideals, frankly, why our ancestors came here. If we speak this boldly, like Ted Cruz, like Rand Paul, like Mike Lee, like Tea Party people across the country, no force on earth can stop us. None. And so what I'm telling all of you is this. Every email that you send, every website that you create, every phone call that you make to a radio show, every candidate that you support, whatever it is that you do, is one more nail in liberalism's coffin. It is one more nail in Obama's coffin. It is one more nail in socialism's coffin. What we have to understand is this. The liberty revolution that Ron Paul championed, that Jeff Kuhner champions, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I believe the spark that's going to unleash this political revolution, we are actually, believe it or not, we are living through great days. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we are living through historic times. You know what this is? This is 1773. This is 1774. This is what our ancestors, the British, they just keep oppressing us, they keep taxing us, they keep regulating us, they won't stop. And we keep telling them, stop, we're warning you. We're loyal subjects. There's only so much you can push us. No, there's going to be no violence. There's no need to pick up muskets and fight. We're going to do it through the ballot box, legally, constitutionally.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, this regime and everything that it's based on is on its final legs. It is in its death throes.
Good.
And my friends, we are going to have to be there to pick up the pieces. We are the grown-ups in the room. Let me give you American politics, really, in a nutshell, and then I'll open it up for questions. We've had Republicans and Democrats, really for the last 20 years. We'll go back even further, but let's put 20 years. Who are like a bunch of overgrown adolescents. And they've had a big party in our house. They've had a big party. The teenagers have taken over. The cocaine, the booze, the women, the food, it was flowing, baby. And we've got now a $17 trillion debt.
Right.
We've got entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you can run down the whole list, that are literally unsustainable. Look, let me give you the big number. Everyone hears about the $17 trillion debt, which is huge. Let me give you a bigger number. You put all of our entitlements together, the unfunded liabilities, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, it is $91 trillion in unfunded liabilities. 91 trillion. You know what 91 trillion is? I kid you not. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. It is the entire economy of the world. 2 times. Twice. When we go broke, who's going to bail us out? We're not Greece.
International Monetary Fund. World Bank.
Who's going to bail us out? The Chinese can't. The Russians can't. The Europeans can't. So, what I'm saying is this. This regime has to collapse. It's unsustainable. So what we need to do now is we need to get ready for the 2014 elections. That means you need to get involved. All of you. This is our moment. This is our time. Run the best Tea Party candidate in your district. Mobilize together. Let me tell you something that has been working for me now for years. I work with like-minded people. My business is information. I'm a journalist. I read the same websites. We feed each other information. I get emails. I get texts. Information, knowledge is power. The more we interact with one another, the more we share information with one another, the more we disseminate information, we are actually educating the American people. I swear, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. They told me my show could not work in Boston. Not only is my show exceeding all expectations, we are now becoming the #1 show in Greater Boston. This is what I want to tell you. How many emails, calls? Jeff, I was a Democrat, but I've been listening to you now. You've converted me. Jeff, I was an independent. You've converted me. Jeff, I was a liberal. You've converted me. It's what Ron Paul's been doing on the Federal Reserve.
Right.
It's what Ron Paul has been doing on the welfare warfare state. It's what Ron Paul has been doing about the Constitution, individual liberties for years. People are coming around. We're not the past. You see, they want us to think our time is done. No. We're the future. Do you know what we are? We're the dissidents in Eastern Europe in 1987. 2 years before the Berlin Wall comes down, I'm saying, oh, this communism is going to be here forever. The libs were saying, the liberals were saying for year after year, you'll never get rid of the Soviet Union, you have to accommodate it. 2 years later, the whole thing came crashing down. That's who we are. That's what we are.
Reagan.
And so what we need to do, my friends, is now is our time. We have to now share information, get on the same websites, read this man's website, band together, support the right Tea Party candidate, go out there door to door, put up signs, pass out leaflets, pass out pamphlets. We have to have the courage of our convictions. And if we have the courage of our convictions, mark my words, no force on earth will stop us. God bless you, and I'll happen to end
it was Christmas for me this week as an old liberal friend called and said she wished she had voted for Obama. And it was one of the most wonderful days I've had in a really long time. And so I was quiet, and then I hung up, and then later I called her and thanked her, you know. But I think that's going to be happening. And what's the best way to deal with that? You know, I didn't want to do the "I told you so"s or.
It's a great question. That's a great question. I'll give you one example.
Tell us the truth.
I'm not, yeah, well, yeah, he's right. Tell us the truth. Please, I'm a very humble man. I believe it's a sin to be proud. I'm not trying to spin my show. But on Thursday, I got a call from a guy And he said, Jeff, you've converted. I was liberal my whole life, and I've been listening to you. And one thing you never do is, you see, I told you so. You see, I told you so. There's no reason to humiliate the person. And let me give all of you a very small personal story, and I'll tell you how infectious this is going to become. Because people are going to come to our side just because of the aura and the glow that we give off. My parents came from Eastern Europe. They fled communism. My grandfather's family was practically wiped out. We celebrated a great victory in 1945. People in Eastern Europe, the Red Locusts, the Red Army was pouring in. And they shot my grandfather's brother, they shot his sister, they killed his family members, and my parents spent 3 years in a concentration camp, as well as my grandparents. I had the opportunity in the late 80s to go back to where my parents are from, Croatia, which is then the former Yugoslavia. And I sat down beside a man who was one of the leading intellectuals of the communist regime. But he had changed. He had changed. He had genuinely changed. And he walked up to me, and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, I want you to know, we killed millions. And I want you to know, your grandfather, we persecuted him. We drove him out of the country. We took his farm. We took his land. We took everything. And he started crying. And he said, I want you to know, I'm really sorry. And his name was Jerry. And he goes, I want you to know, and he was railing against the regime. He was writing article after article after article after article. So his conversion was sincere. I grabbed his hand. I said, listen, Jerry, don't ever apologize to me again. You're now my brother. I forgive you. It's over. We have a common enemy. It's communism. Now, you and I, like brothers, let's bring this monstrosity down.
Good.
And you should have seen it. And that's what happened all across Eastern Europe. Many former communists said, oh my God, there's no recrimination, there's no bitterness, there's no hatred. I do that with people all the time. They call us, I used to be an Obama supporter. Great. Come on board. I love you, I welcome you, God bless you, brother, you've seen the light. I mean, and they're, yeah, okay. Because what are we going to do? Cry over spilled milk? What are we going to do? Have recriminations? I mean, the point is, we all make mistakes. They made mistakes. They're regretting it now. Believe me, the ones that are getting cancellation notices, they're regretting it now. And so the way to tell them is, it's okay, we all make mistakes. Let's just hope we never make this mistake again. Forgiveness. You stick the hand out and you say, whatever, man, whatever, sir, whatever it is, and you say, hey, let's go defeat this guy. And I'm telling you, if we do that, it's going to even add more numbers to our ranks. I don't know if that answered your question.
Beautifully.
Jeff, you talked about Obamacare and what sad shape it's in. My concern is that the Republicans will help dig him out of a hole. Upton bill that's being considered now, what is your sense of helping them fix it, or defund it, or let it run its course?
Well, my position is, I would agree with Ted Cruz completely. We should have defunded it, starve the beast, and then repeal it, once you have the votes to repeal it. This is not fixable. You see, my point is, I understand everybody's afraid, oh, are they going to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? It's unfixable. And this is what many Democrats don't. In fact, I'll tell you, look, I'll be very candid with you. Obama himself knew that Obamacare could never work. He knew it. I've been trying to stress this to people now for 3.5 years. I feel like I'm yelling from the rooftops, like I'm going to pull my hair out. This was never about health care. This was about politics. Power. You nailed it. What he wanted to do, this is all he wanted. He wanted a bill that would destroy the private insurance market, bring it under the heel and control of the federal government. And what he really wants, and his real strategy, has never been Obamacare, has never been some kind of command control, regulated, semi-private healthcare system. He wants single payer. He wants the full Monty. He wants a government monopoly on healthcare, like what I saw in Canada growing up, or what you have in England. In fact, he's been on the record about this. He goes, oh, I think my way is single payer. I think my way is single payer. So that's what he wants. Already, here, this weekend, watch, it'll be the news next week, you've got Democrats now coming out who are supporting Obamacare to the hilt. Now suddenly, a mistake. Oops, I'm sorry, but you know what? We need single payer. Single payer, that'll do it. So it's what liberals always do. It's what leftists always do.
That's right.
You use the government to destroy something, and then say, oh, the government's the solution. So that's what they want. Now, there's one problem. There's one problem, and this is where I go back to the government shutdown. This is why I was off the, well, it's not off the record, but anyway, it's no secret. I got very good relations with Cruz's people, Rand Paul's people, the Tea Party people in Washington. They read my column avidly. Go on the Senate floor. Hold up Congress. Shut the government down. Why? Why? This is where they made their fatal mistake. This is where the rhinos, to their eternal shame, will never be able to live this down. What do we all remember from the government shutdown? It doesn't matter. Right, left, center, moderate, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Ted Cruz saying it's a disaster. Ted Cruz saying you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your hours, you're going to lose your health care. That is seared in the public's mind. So, they can't blame Republicans for this one. The only one they can blame is Obama and the Democrats. And this is the problem. Okay, this is Obama's problem. This is why single payer is not going to fly. Credibility. It's like virginity. Either you have it, or you don't. And once you lose it, it's gone. I mean, I'm sorry, I know there's operations now, it's a big thing now, surgery. No, I'm saying it's gone. It's just gone. So the problem is, this is not really, this is what the White House is in panic about. Nobody believes anything this guy says.
Right.
And the public doesn't believe him. So he's going to turn around and say, oh, I'm single payer. Too bad. Too bad. So what I'm trying to say is, hold on, I'll get your... So what I think the Republicans should do is this. First of all, anything you do will not fix it. It's unfixable. So if I was the Republicans, and they're going to do this, they're going to have no choice because we're going to force them to do it.
Good.
2014 is a referendum on Obamacare.
Right.
It's the only issue, which is really a referendum on Obama. Very simple. You want it or you repeal it. Take your pick.
Repeal it.
And I'm telling you, we're going to have 70 to 75% of the American people saying repeal. It's the message that's going to carry the Tea Party. We're going to win almost every primary. We're going to win almost every... Look, Mary Landrieu is going to lose. Mark Pryor is going to lose. Kay Hagan in North Carolina is going to lose. Mark Udall in Colorado is going to lose. Look, they had a meeting last week. Just to show you how bad it was. This is the President of the United States sitting in a room with 15 Democratic senators. They were yelling at him. They weren't vocal. They weren't just angry. They were yelling at him. You're going to cost me my seat. You're going to cost me my job. You're going to cost us our majority. You're going to cost us everything. They read him the riot act. They took him to the carpet. Because they read the polls. They're going to get, this is a, look, the Democrats are telling me, this is the word that they're using. Tsunami. Not a tidal wave. Not an earthquake. A tsunami.
Good.
So what I'm saying is, what Republicans need to do is this. They can do the up and middle. They can try it. These are gimmicks to get Republicans. They want Democrats on record saying, you can't keep your health care. That's all. It's all political posturing. What the Republicans now know, they have a huge wind behind their back. And they now know all they have to do is pound Obamacare, pound, pound, pound. And you push for repeal, the American people will say yes.
But why are they even negotiating? Why are they bringing the Republicans in so it's going to be a nonpartisan fix? I mean, that's my concern, that they're going to turn this thing around and we will have our skin in the game as well as them.
Well, I can tell you this, and this is the other big story of our time. You're seeing liberalism collapse in front of us. You're also seeing the Republican Party now fracture. And really, I'll be honest, there are two parties. The Republican Party is not one party. It's really two parties. It is the Tea Party, which is us, constitutionalists, libertarians, whatever you want, phrase you want to use, and you have the establishment GOP. Now, they're very strong on top. They have the money, they have the lobbyists, they have the committees. But we're the ones with the troops on the ground.
But don't you think we should keep them and in other states elect you people?
Like new people?
Well, You're a Tea Party
Yeah,
candidate.
here's what I think is going to happen. This is what they're realizing. But my point is
We
this.
should keep the establishment party
If-
of Republicans
If the Republicans,
with Boehner.
if Boehner, which he won't, Boehner is not going to commit suicide, he's not. If the Republicans try to save Obamacare and try to fix Obamacare, it's not fixable. So then they're going to become implicated in Obama's mess. They're going to get wiped out. So what I'm trying to tell you is, it's like a negotiating table. We got the gun. We got the gun. And we go to every establishment GOP, okay, well, primary. You sign on to this thing. You try to back Obamacare or fix it or reform it or amend it or whatever. We don't want it. Now, this is the issue. The Republicans in particular, the grassroots, will not support any establishment effort to try to fix or reform Obamacare. It won't happen. So what you're going to see happen is, mark my words, it's not just that you're going to see Republicans gain seats. This is the big thing. This is why they tried to destroy Ted Cruz. He's the future. You're going to see an army of Ted Cruz's. Look, I can tell you, even Massachusetts, the bluest of blue states, I've got now Tea Party people, they want to run in state races, in local races. They're running everywhere. So what's going to happen is you're going to have Tea Party Republicans win primary after primary after primary. It's not like it's going to be the Republican Party in name. It's going to be the Tea Party in reality. So basically it's jump on board or get out of the way. So this is now, really, we are living, I believe, through revolutionary times. The ground is moving. It's a tectonic shift. It is moving underneath us. And it's moving against the Democrats, it's moving against the liberals, but it's also moving against the establishment Republicans. We have an army. And we are ready. We are the peasants with our pitchforks. And now we finally realized we don't need these aristocrats. We work the land. The sweat off our brow is what pays the taxes. We're the power, not them. And that's why I know it's depressing in Massachusetts, but I'm telling you, we get outside Massachusetts, my friends, we are the future. Trust me. So, you will see 2014 will be, you know who's going to be Times Person of the Year? The Tea Party. We are the story of 2014.
You got 140.
Well, whatever. If they're honest, they would say the Person of the Year is the Tea Party. Yes, Miss.
Jeff, I just wanted to ask, first of all, congratulations on the ratings on your
Oh, thank
show
you.
and the rankings. So as someone who's worked with a lot of state representative candidates and local candidates to get elected, I always urge them to get on talk radio. So I'm curious what kind of freedom you think you'll have next year to bring candidates on air to have, we understand what a powerful tool, being able to get on your show would be for these candidates. And I'm just kind of curious if you're getting pressure behind the scenes or think that you might get some about not bringing people on air.
Honestly, I get no pressure from behind the scenes. I put as many Tea Party people on my show as I can. What I can tell you is this, the Massachusetts State GOP is petrified of us. Good. I'll tell you who's in my crosshair. I'm going to bring him down. It's Brad Jones. And so you're going to see the Sean O'Connells, you're going to see the Jeff Deals, Jim Lyons. You are going to see real Tea Party Republicans. I'm not saying we're going to take over the state. This is still Massachusetts. We have a lot of work to do. But what I want is we're going to take over the Republican Party. And there's an old saying, even if you're in opposition, it's better to have a good opposition than to have a weak opposition.
Right.
And at a minimum, let's give the people of Massachusetts a real alternative and a real choice. And look, we've been running rhinos now for how many years? How did that work out for the long Scott Brown? How did that work out for Gabe Gomez? I mean, how did that work? Richard Tessay. I want you to think about this. Richard Tessay. Richard Tessay goes up against, it's an expression, goes a crook, the politician's a crook. No, a real crook. An actual crook. John Henry. A crook. They were stealing money from their brother-in-law's casino and funneling it, not paying taxes. It's a crook. It's a crook. He sends his wife, he should have gone to prison. He sends his wife to prison on his behalf. I swear. So they put up Richard to say. Now, Richard to say is pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, pro-environment, pro-cap and trade, pro-amnesty. I mean, run right down the line. He's a Democrat. He just has an arm beside his name, okay? The only thing Richard Desai says is, I'm looking around Lynn, and I'm seeing boarded up shops everywhere. Maybe we should encourage business, the private sector, maybe cut some taxes, cut some regulations. You know, somebody's got to pay for this big welfare state. That's it. That's Richard Desai. On top of it all, I swear to you, he's gay. He's openly gay. Right. Okay, so I don't know how much more of a rhino you could be than Richard Desai.
Put up someone.
And he still lost to John Tierney. So my point is, we've been running. They keep saying, Jeff. Half a loaf of Jeff.
He wasn't even here.
I knew you were going to hear that.
Jeff. No, you have to run a rhino, Jeff. You have to run a moderate, Jeff. You have to be tolerant, Jeff. You have to show compassion,
John
Jeff.
Sears saying that.
And I'm like, and we keep losing.
That's right.
I mean, Gabe Gomez ran for on amnesty. Now he's Hispanic. He spoke Spanish, and he didn't get the Hispanic vote. So my point is that instead of losing with rhinos, why don't we try conservatives? And I mean, call me crazy. We ran a conservative at 80 under Reagan. I thought that turned out pretty good. 84, I don't know. Maybe I missed the memo. Reagan won a big landslide. The 94 Republicans, when they ran on a strong conservative, 2010. So when we run on strong pro-liberty, pro-freedom conservative issues, we win. Now, let's just say, oh, Jeff, okay, you can't win in Massachusetts. Okay, fine. At least you
Says
were
so,
fighting.
you can't.
How did Scott Brunley, I'll be the 41st one to stop Obamacare?
Bingo.
The conservative, yeah.
Bingo. And that's what I told him. I said, the Tea Party brought you to the dance. We had a town hall. I told him this right to his face. I said, Scott, you know what your big mistake was? You know why you lost? I call it chief spreading rule. You know why you lost to Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian? I said, you know why? There's an old expression. You gotta dance with the one who brought you.
Yeah, beautiful.
We brought you to the dance, baby. So what I'm saying is, let's just, worst case, okay, Jeff, we lose. But at least, even if you lose going down fighting.
We
You go down
won't
on
lose
principle.
if we
And,
put up
look,
a war
how many elections did we
hero.
lose?
A war hero.
And now, everybody's coming around with his ideas. So my point is, you lose 1, 2, 3 elections, but people say, hey, you know what?
They're annoying. Quiet. Interrupt while speaking.
Taxes, high taxes don't work. No, it's true. There's so much welfare corruption and fraud. No, it's true. This is unsustainable. No, it's true. It's punishing achievement. No, it's true. And then suddenly go, you know what? I'm going to vote for them. I'm going to get. In other words, I said this to people before. If I walk up to you and say, you have one choice, right? One candidate. You vote one time in one election. I'll say, get a drink. You want a Bud or a Bud Light? You got one drink. You want a Miller or a Miller Lite? I said, well, I only have one drink. What the hell? Give me a Bud. That's why the Democrats always win. Notice they never run on a Democrat-like platform. Did you see Markey? I call him Markey. You know, I want to suck your mom. I want to take your blah. So there's Markula, the vampire. If somebody's in Maryland that finally found his way to Malden, I don't know how he did the GPS system and finds his way back to Malden. This is what he says the whole campaign. The whole campaign. I will never let you down. I will never betray my principles. And man, say what you want about these left-wingers. They don't back down.
That's right.
We're running Republican light. Election after election after election. And then we said, oh, well, we give them a choice between a real liberal, a Bud, but we don't give them a Miller. We give them a Miller Light. And they keep rejecting the light beer. Well, yeah, that's the point. Don't. A Bud, counter with a Miller, or whatever, a Coors, or take your analogy. And that's a better beer. A Sam Adams. I'm a Sam Adams.
Yeah, there you
Sam Adams. There, you want a Bud? I'll give you some. Oh, Sam Adams.
Good.
So my point is that the rhinos, they've had their time, they had their chance, and they blew it. You know what? Let us go to battle. I think we'll do a better job. That's just me. Yes, sir.
All right. So I agree with your principles. I share your passion. Thank you for all that. what's kind of disappointing though is that there's nothing about reaching out to the student groups. Why am I the only 20-something in this room? If you really want to build armies and replace all the rhinos, you need to reach out to all these student groups. You know, Young Americans for Liberty just started their 500th chapter in this country. They didn't have help from Republicans.
Why didn't you bring them?
They've been successful because, you know, they found a bunch of other students that felt abandoned, also abandoned by Republicans. So reach out to them. YAL, Students for Liberty, my group, New England Objective Society. These groups, they're spread throughout New England and all over the country, and you know what, they're all alone, except when they're lucky enough to find someone who's kind of sort of like my group. If you really want to win, you can't just fill a room with people that agree with you. I mean, everyone here who's talked is doing awesome work, but it's not enough. I've done a lot of work at UMass, and if where that's hard to promote liberty, it's UMass Amherst. Is anyone familiar with it? They'll only hire Marxists for the econ department. They churn out little communists in their labor studies program, like that's in their mission statement. But I haven't had any help.
I'd like to respond
from. I've had support. I've had moral support, but you know, no one has really reached out to say, "Hey, we appreciate what you're doing, and we really want the people who are in college now, who are going to be the future, to have the resources to fight this battle." No one is doing that. That's what needs to happen.
How would you like it if some old white-haired guy like me goes to college and tries to convert all the students? It's not up to us, it's up to you. Because you young people don't listen to us. Did you listen to your mother and father? No. I didn't either.
I think what Dave is saying is
not about
Jeff has a hope that you might be able to draw some younger people in, and then the young people listen, and then they draw your show.
There's two answers to your question. The one answer is a much longer-term answer. Not going to be fixed today. And you're right. I had Marxist and communist and socialist professors. The left has brilliantly occupied what they call the commanding heights of culture. In fact, there was a plan of theirs from the 60s. They called it the Long March. The Long March was based off of Mao. When Mao fought the nationalists in China, they had a long march to survive. And it was literally a Maoist idea, a communist idea, the long march through the institutions. And they said, we want to control the media, we want to control the public schools, we want to control Hollywood, we want to control the universities, all of the commanding heights of culture. So what they have brilliantly done, I have to give them their due, is basically they've taken over the public school system, they've taken over most of the universities, and they've now become essentially indoctrination camps, indoctrination centers. And this is where Obama got so much of his support. So we have to find a way to break that. I think homeschooling, frankly, is one of those ways. I think going after the teachers' unions is another way. I think creating different universities and campuses. And what I do on a regular basis is I go to campuses. I go and I debate the students, I engage the students, because I'm a former professor. And you'd be amazed at the support that you get. But that's a long-term project. That can't just happen overnight. It took them 40 years to control the culture. It's going to take us a long time to get the culture back. On a short-term basis, I have to say, I think this is where I think conservatives and Tea Party people have really failed. I think we need to reach out to the young, because in the end, this is the argument we have to make to the young. This is the argument. Right now, your child, you have a child that's born, has a $256,000 debt on their head. Now, you go to everybody, you go to a university and say, you got a $256,000 debt, are you going to pay that off? That's what the federal government has done to you. The only way you can pay this off is through higher taxes. You're going to be basically paying. Look, there is to me nothing more immoral. If I want to go out and party, and I want to buy yachts, and I want to buy cars, and I want to buy mansions or whatever, and I rack up this ridiculous debt, that's fine. But don't saddle it on my Ashton and my Ava. It's wrong, it's immoral. You rack up your debts, you pay your debts. What we have now done, this is what is so sickening about what's going on in this country. Frankly, it's almost criminal. I swear to you, I think it should be hauled off in handcuffs. Is they have now mortgaged the futures of our children and grandchildren. Right. So to be honest with you, I'm not trying to be patronizing. I feel sorry for you. No, really. Because I'll survive. No, honestly, most of the people will make it. I'll probably make it. Social Security is not going to be there for you. Medicare is not going to be there for you, but you're paying for it. So in other words, it's really despicable. So they're going to be paying for something they're never going to get, and they're going to be saddled with all this debt. You're going to have very few job opportunities. I mean, you're already seeing a phenomenon of Americans looking for work in other countries. We're going to become like Greece. So what I'm going to tell the students is very simply, who gave the politicians the power to mortgage your future? Who gave them the power to put that debt on your head?
Johnson should have done cut surplus.
And that argument, I gotta tell you, when I make that argument to young people, it resonates. Now, let me just show you an example. We had our 1-year anniversary party, okay, for the Kuhner show. It was 1 year on the last week. And it was, I mean, it was packed. We went to a restaurant up in Saugus. It was packed. But let me tell you what shocked everybody. Everybody. The guys at the studio, they were all like, oh, it's going to be like, you know, senior citizens hour. You know, it's going to be like, Granny, we're going to be very. It was young people. There were some 40, 50, 20s, 30s, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old. What the message of freedom and liberty is so innate to human nature. It's so appealing to human nature that we can attract so many people. The problem is we've abandoned the youth. We've abandoned college campuses. So one of the things that I always do is I make a concerted effort to go and speak on campus. I even speak to high school students. I do that all the time. And it works. If more of us did that, especially if more talking heads, conservative commentators, how many people he's converted? What did he do? He went campus after campus after campus. And now he's got shock troops, libertarian shock troops. So I'm not willing to throw in the towel. But what I'm saying is, if we make the effort, I think we can pay it off. But this is the thing. It's going broke. We're going to manage. I'm telling you, 45, we'll manage. That guy, those young kids, it's going to be on their head. It's going to be on their head. You tell that to them, and finally, ting, the light bulb's going to go off. Yes, sir.
I live in Hudson, and I'm a member of the Republican Hudson Town Committee. And we recently went to the high school, actually last year, and did a presentation on what is a Republican to the high school students. Again, trying to inform them. And one of the things we talked about was Mayor Bloomberg's, well, his ban on 16-ounce sodas. And one of us said to the kids, how do you like that? How do you like a mayor telling you what size drink you can drink? And there was a few that said, I like it. It floored me. It floored me. These are 15, 14-year-old kids. It just floored me. I couldn't understand it.
Well, so I got to tell you this. I'm not surprised, and I'll tell you why. As a student of history, this is very important for people to understand. You really have to understand this. Even under communism, even after communism, 25% of the population, members of my own family, when I go back to the old country, my parents were born there, I was never born there, but I go back. I have members of my own family who go, oh, it was better under communism. They were murdering people. How could it have been better? My point is, you're always going to have 20 to 25% of the population who want the government to run their lives, who want to be coddled, who cherish and want security. They want handouts. They want somebody to lead them like sheep. That's always going to be that. To me, you're never going to win those people over. What you are going to win is, I believe, most of the people in this country who I believe in their heart value freedom and want freedom. And that to me has been the lesson of history. So yeah, you will always have a few students. I mean, just, you get them in every society. Yeah, I want a handout. Yeah, I don't know what's good for me. I can't, God forbid I should drink 17 ounces. Ooh, I can't control my own health. So you're always going to have that. Remember this about the American Revolution. The American Revolution. I always taught this to my students. It's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Never forget that. 1/3 of the colonists fought. 1/3 of the colonists were loyalists. 1/3. 1/3 were saying, you want to send in troops into our house? No problem. No taxation without representation? No problem. We're subjects. We're not citizens. The third in the middle was the third that agreed with the colonists, but didn't want to pick up a gun. But my point is, even the American Revolution, you had a third that opposed the revolution. So you're always going to have that 25, 30%. To me, what I'm saying is, we've got, I believe now, we have 70%. That to me that's the pie. And if we go for that, that's an overwhelming majority. My friends, that's history. Yes, sir.
So, Rep. Mark Lombardo, did I say his name right? Yep. He said something to the effect of, you have to show, you lead the way, in other words. How you're going to go about, the change and everything like that. He also, mentioned that, divisive literature and stuff like that. Don't believe the liberal bias and everything like that. Doesn't like inflammatory. Like you said, that third in the middle, they're going to turn off any messages that talk about socialism. They talk about liberal bias and all this other stuff. But speaking to the message, look, this healthcare thing, it's not best for the country because A, the kids are going to be spending for it in the future, and B, it's not giving you what you need in the short term. So you get neither. And so, the message for those, for instance, the millennials, which I'm not sure if you're a millennial, but the idea is that they're very community driven, but they're not requiring the handouts. They're not asking for anything. They want to give. It's the opposite. It's just a matter of being able to work that to, one side or the other as far as like how they're going to operate in their lives. Do you want them to lead their communities, or do you want them to take from their communities, I guess? You know what I mean? It's like, sure, you're community driven if you enjoy handouts, but you're also community driven if you sit out there and you say, look, let's try to see what we can do to fix this. We get some farms in the community. Let's see what we can do to work with them. Get them going so we can have food that's healthy and everything like that. And their mentality is more in a direction which is community minded, but it's actually leading the community. It's not not helping the community at all.
Well, look, I can just tell you this, as a former university professor, this is at McGill, up in what they call the Harvard North, up in Canada. I have a lot of American students. In fact, it's a great way to get a very good education. You don't pay the Ivy League prices. I'll tell you what surprised me the most. How cynical, how alienated, how embittered they feel towards their elites and towards the establishment. What I'm saying is that they know they're being shafted. Now, they can't quite express it. They just know it. When you feel something but you just can't quite articulate it? That's how they feel. They know they're being led astray. They know they're being fed propaganda. They know they're being fed lies. And that's why they're thirsting for a new alternative. It's like, literally, like in the desert. And the problem that we've had, I believe, is that, and this is why I think Ted Cruz has just been so spectacular, Rand Paul, we finally have people who have the courage of their convictions, who are articulate, who are smart, who lay it out in a very effective way, who are unashamed, who are not constantly apologizing, or qualifying, or nuancing, or mincing their words. And this is, I think, electrifying the country. And I think it's electrifying a lot of young people. And that's why they fear us. I'll tell you what we are, in all honesty. We are the direct descendants of the Patriots. We're the one-third. No, we don't have to pick up guns, it's not the British, but we are the one-third. We are the resistance. And the other third is looking to us. And the more convincing we are, and the more passionate we are, and the more articulate we are, there's nothing that's going to stop us. This regime...
The less divisive we are.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'll be honest with you, they don't believe the media as well.
Right.
They don't.
But they don't think it's liberal. The what? But they don't think it's liberal.
Yeah,
they don't believe either, but they don't believe.
Yeah, exactly. You see, so what we're doing is, they keep saying, oh, it's divisive, it's divisive, it's divisive. What's divisive is, I'll tell you the truth, if you go blank you, it's divisive if you openly mock somebody. That to me is divisive. But when you say, no, you don't realize this, you think it's objective, it's not objective. They're giving you a left-wing spin. Oh, really? Yes, and let me give you the alternative. You see, what's happening now, this is what we own. We own this as Tea Party people. We don't even realize this. The whole internet news subculture, the new media, is dominated by our side. Talk radio is dominated by our side. So what the liberals now have is they have the dinosaurs. Print media. I mean, no offense, Tom. I'm a newspaper man myself. Even on the Washington Times, all of our stuff is now online. I mean, we print the newspaper, but circulation is down to everybody. So the old print media is dying. Frankly, cable news. Here, look, Fox is the biggest, right, of the three. How many people watch Fox? Let me ask people in the room.
Yeah, just to see what they thought.
How many people you think in the United States watch Fox? Give me a number.
1/3.
Go ahead, give me a number.
1/3.
I think it's 4 million.
Like you think 100 million?
Yeah.
1/3.
It's like 4 or 5 million a night.
5 million. 5 million in a country of 313 million. See, we're news junkies, right? We're informed. We're citizens. That's why we watch. They're the best. MS Left BC gets basically less than 1 million. So my point is, what do they control? They're controlling yesterday's levers of power. We're starting to control today's levers of power. So what I'm saying is, really, when I say a tectonic shift, you know, it's tectonic, it's slow, but it's moving. It's moving. That's what's happening. And the big political manifestation of that work, you're going to see it's going to shock everybody. It's going to be 2014. Mark my words. They're going to be like, oh, I thought they were all right-wing crazies. I thought the Tea Party was discredited. Oh my God, it's a political slaughter. Everybody's falling like dominoes. And everybody's going to be in a panic. From the Republicans to the Democrats to the liberal regime.
Just make this the last question.
Okay. Jeff, first of all, hearing your speech is the first time in years I've been inspired and I feel good for this country. I thank you for your speech. Yeah. Somebody had to stand up and say what you said, and I appreciate you standing up and saying it to us. I'm leading an organization that I'm going to speak in the activist panel, but I want to get your feedback on it due to what you said. It's the right to refuse amendment. It's got the backing of Congressman Palazzo in the House and Senator Marco Rubio in the Senate. And now we really just need popular support. And I agree with you that Obamacare is going to be the #1 thing. We need a hammer to smash over the head of anybody who would support it in any way, shape, or form. And the right to refuse, I think anything you can give me, I just inspired by what you said, and I think your opinion would be very helpful.
Well, I mean, how active are you? I don't know much about your background.
How active am I?
Yes.
I lead the whole, well, me and a number of people.
I can just tell you this.
We have coalitions in Nevada, California, Hawaii, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts.
I can just tell you this. Emails work. I get a lot of emails, and I read emails. I'm just going to talk show host, and a lot of my colleagues do. And it's information. So if you do that just alone, where you target talk show hosts, you target opinion leaders, you target local leaders, in other words, see, the thing is, at Tea Party, this is our greatest, it's our strength and it's our weakness. You know, the Irish have an expression. It's a very good, person's strength is also his weakness. So if you're big and strong, you're probably not very fast and nimble. You know, and so we're spontaneous, we're volunteers, we're everywhere, but we don't have a command and control. We don't have nothing, we don't have any central organization. That's, by the way, where the left has always been. This goes back to the Bolsheviks. They are, I mean, I got, like the Democrats, I get all their talking points. They just do that. So what they do is they send a blast email. Okay, today, here's how we defend Obamacare. Point, 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 point. And everybody, I don't just mean members of Congress, the liberal media, I mean, even my callers, I can tell the liberal callers, oh, you got the talking point this morning. So they're all mouthing, parroting the same thing. We don't do that. We're individuals. We all think for ourselves. What we got to do, my friends, this is the last step. We have to network. Let me give you an example. Right now in this room, everybody should be sharing everybody else's email. You should log, whatever, 40, 50 people, whatever it is, let's say 50 people, just for argument's sake, you should have 49 email addresses in your phone. You should have this guy's email address. Right off the bat, you guys should be sharing information with each other and with them. And that gets around. Then you share it to your friends, and you share it to your family members. Now just look how it goes. It just spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads. That's what we need to do. We don't network well enough. We don't. Everybody is doing their own little thing. The Massachusetts Tea Party is doing its thing. The Nevada Tea Party is doing its thing. The Iowa Tea Party is doing its thing. Even within Massachusetts, you have factions. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's why I really, honestly, that's why I said to her privately, you're my hero. No, really, because she's a unifier. She's the one that's bringing all these people
My position's up in January.
No, you gotta stay. You have to stay. You really have to stay. Come on. So yeah, so what we have to do is network. Now let me just give you an example. Okay, here, let's just do this. If you have a pen and paper, I'm sorry, I don't have any business cards. Let me give you my email address.
We have it.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah.
Kuhner report, sorry, Kuhner report at WRKO.
They should all have
Okay, do me a favor. Today, tomorrow, whenever you have free time, email me there, and just in the subject header, just say Tea Party. Okay, just say Tea Party. I'm going to take every single one of your emails, and I'm going to put it on my blast list. You're going to get my columns, you're going to get news updates, you're going to get everything. And then you can send it, or whatever you want to do with it. My point is, now we're armed with information. I have your information, you have my information. And then if there's a story that you want me to talk about, you send it to my email. Believe me, I have Brittany, my full-time assistant. She prints it up for me, and I'll go through it. And now we're networking. Now, baby, we're clicking. We're reading each other, we're feeding each other, we're giving each other knowledge, information. Knowledge is power, and now we're all on the same page. Now, already, if we can just do this, believe me, that's a huge victory. You get your friends and family members. My friends, we have an army. Within 6 months, we will have an army. And then we say, hey, this person's running in this race. Let's help that person. Hey, that person's running in that race. Let's help that person. And then we start winning elections. Here, let me give you an example. Tank the gas tax. I've been driving this thing. Okay? And I really got to go because I'm sorry, I have another engagement. I got to drive. Anyways, my wife's waiting for me. She's driving to another meeting. But I've been pushing this tank the gas tax. Why? The Massachusetts State Legislature, what I call Bacon Hill, the pork barrel guys up on Bacon Hill, have now passed a 3-cent per gallon gas tax. Now, you figure they have more than enough money for the roads. I pay a toll every day when I go into work on the Mass Pike. I pay $1.25 coming in, I pay $1.25 coming out. We already have some of the highest gas taxes in the country. No. They got to now walk us one more time, sock us one more time with a 3-cent per gallon tax increase. But here's the kicker. They know how unpopular it is. You know what they did in the bill? They said automatic gas tax increases forever tied to inflation. So if inflation, which inflation is going to happen, because he's right, they're printing money, inflation is just a matter of time. Inflation goes up 5%, your gas taxes go up 5%. Inflation goes up 7%, your gas taxes go up 7%. So every year, your gas tax automatically, without a vote in the legislature, is going to go up. If there's deflation, your taxes don't go down. No. They stay the same. So, basically, it's taxation without representation. It violates the most sacred principle of our republic. It's a war on the middle and working class. Now, if we get this petition on the ballot to repeal the gas tax, it will go down in flames. And they'll send a message to every politician on the state legislature in Beacon Hill. You cannot raise our taxes without getting a major tax revolt. But we need 100,000 signatures to get the petition on the ballot.
Today, I believe.
It's the 20th. This is the last weekend. This is the last weekend. I've had Jeff Deal on. I've had Jim Lyons on. I've had Sean O'Connell on. I've had Holly Robichaud on from the Boston Herald. She's really been spearheading this thing. Now, we're close, but we're not there. And you know why we're not there? Because people don't network. So many people, really, there was a gas tax increase? I didn't even know. Really, it's indexed to inflation? Oh my God, I didn't know that. So my point is, knowledge is power. If we had a better network in this state, we would have 100,000 signatures. We get 100,000 signatures, it goes on the ballot. It will go down. Now, what's going to be the story from that? The power of the Tea Party. A growing tax revolt. Even in the bluest of blue states, they say no to higher taxes. It'll be a national story. But the left hand is not talking to the right hand. So if we can do that, that's it. Share your emails, share information, share it to your friends. My friends, I'm telling you, there's an army of us out there. Somebody's listening to my show. Somebody. Those aren't made up ratings. So let me I have to go, but I just want to say this, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I came to this country many years ago as an immigrant from Canada. It's the greatest country in the history of the world. I love its history. I love this country's constitution. I love everything about this country. And all of you have welcomed me. This country has welcomed me. But in particular, you, Middle American, the silent majority, Tea Party people. I come from very humble roots. My parents were peasants. Everything I got in my life, I worked for and I earned. And I really want you to know this. I know your struggles. I know your values. I know your interests. I know where you come from. God is my witness. I want to leave a better country for my boy and my girl. My Ashton, who I adopted from Minnesota, and my little Ava, who I adopted from Utah. My Ashton goes back literally to the 1820s, his family. He goes back 7, 8 generations. You have given me not only a phenomenal opportunity of being a journalist, a columnist, and a talk radio host, you've given me the 2 greatest gifts of my life, my children. This is what America has given to me. I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I will always fight for you. I will never abandon you. I swear to you, I will always be your bulldozer. You have my word of honor on that. May God bless you, and may God bless the greatest country in history. Thank you. We will have Tom 7:15 on Monday. He's got a bombshell. Trust me, this could be national. This.
Something in the crowd and have more people.